On Thursday, they booed him en masse. Yesterday, it took just one of them, in a yellow jersey of all things, to cause the crash that lost him more than a minute on his main rivals. It's early days, Brian, but the score so far in this race is the Great French Public 2, Alberto Contador 0. Hello, no doubt the conspiracy theorists are already on the trail of the mystery woman who brought down the pack and got Alberto Contador's race off to the worst possible start yesterday. Did she act alone? Why was she standing with her back to the race? What can be read into the fact that it was one of Alberto Contador's old Astana teammates who clipped her and caused the crash? Well, of course, the answer to all those questions was summed up in 2 words at the end of yesterday's stage by Mark Cavendish.
It happens, you know.
It certainly does, and so far in this race it's all happening to the defending champion. It's not the French public Alberto Contador has to worry about today, though. It's his own team. He'll be on closed roads with just 8 other Saxo Bank riders, trying to stop things getting any worse for him in the team time trial.
Come on.
Nowhere in this year's Tour de France will the drafting principle be more ably demonstrated than in today's team time trial, where all 9 men are going to share the burden of pushing a hole in the wind. But it's a lot more to it, really, than just swapping places, as Ned and I are going to try and demonstrate.
All 9 of us.
Typically, man 1 is going to want to make an effort of around 10 seconds, nearly at sprint speed, before he swings over to the side and lets the next man have at it. The man taking up the reins has to be incredibly careful how he lays down the power, because his teammate, now exhausted, may struggle to get on the wheel. Man 1 has to be so conscious of what's happening behind him. Oi! When the wind's blowing from the side, the same principle of get a body between me and the oncoming air still applies, so an echelon shape is formed. Now, the lead rider dictates the shape of the team, so they might need to take a less than ideal line around the corners to make sure all 9 teammates can navigate the twists and turns in safety. When one of the riders takes an every man for himself approach, adopting lines and braking patterns that are best for himself, well, the whole team tends to spread out a little bit to stay safe. As a result, they hit the front a little bit less rested, and the whole team goes slower. So the team that fares best today may not be built of the most physically gifted, but rather a group of 9 riders who are constantly thinking about their teammates behind. Stop whinging, Ned.
Well, here's the course over which teams will be working well together or not today. 23 kilometres starting and finishing in Les Essarts, and the first check is at 9 kilometres on the outward leg. Once they've turned and started back, the teams will get another at 16.5 kilometres. There's not much to slow them down other than a couple of turns as they come in towards the home straight. Now, the big story overall yesterday might have been Alberto Contador, but as big for us was seeing Geraint Thomas take 6th place, which earned him the first white jersey of the race as the best young rider, and more importantly, left him within striking distance of the yellow jersey. That currently belongs to Philippe Gilbert, yesterday's stage winner. Cadel Evans is 3 seconds back, and behind him is a big bunch of riders led by Thor Hushovd, who are just 6 seconds away from the race lead. Andy Schleck is in the same position, although behind Linus Gerdemann in the queue for the jersey should Leopard Trek do a great ride. Same goes for Bradley Wiggins behind Geraint Thomas on Sky. Alberto Contador, though, is 1 minute 20 in arrears and looking at the prospect of that deficit growing today. Well, as the lowest team in the standings, Contador's Saxo Bank squad were the first to tackle the course.
Look at the way these narrow streets twist and turn. Very difficult to do in big formation like this, as you try to hang on here to the flying man up front, which I think is Chris Hanker Sorensen. As they now remember, the clock will search the fifth man. They're not worried about Tossato on the back.
Well, it looks like Richie Port now is going to lead him up to the line there for Team Saxo Bank. Right on his wheel is Alberto Contador. Contador may be riding himself back into the Tour de France today. One thing's for certain, Phil, it's going to be the first best time.
It's going to be the best time when they get there. Will it survive the day? Will Contador recoup a little bit of time he lost yesterday on the way to the finish on the Mont des Alouettes? There he hits the line. Clock stops on the fifth man. 25 minutes, 16 seconds. That is certainly the time to beat.
Phil, I really have a gut feeling that this team, Garmin-Cervelo, have brought their team, the mixture of this team, to the Tour de France this year with one thought in mind, and that was to actually win this particular stage. That's why the composition of the team is such as it is.
Well, it will affect the overall, of course, the time today, but it's always on the fifth man. This is a team time trial, so you've got to always look where that fifth man is, and there's no good leaving it behind.
Phil, this is going to be a brand new best time.
This is a huge boost for Robert Hessig for sure now, because he's gaining more time over Alberto Contador, because they're going to beat Contador's team. That team was 25 minutes and 16 seconds. Look at this. They have really whooped it over this last few kilometres of the race, and they know it, the way the sprinters are back. They hit the line. The fifth man stops it. 25 minutes dead. So they've gained 16 seconds for guessing over Alberto Contador. And you know, every second counts. So Hushoft goes through now with the Garmin-Cervelo. We call him the God of Thunder. He was the star of the presentation when he came out of the ground with an axe and dreadlocks off. Now, let's see. This will be the first check for them now. And it's Hushoft driving them on. And this is looking extremely quick, Paul. Rabobank have gone through in 9:10. I think we might be seeing this if they come up towards the line with a best time. Now, is it going to be a best time for Garmin-Cervelo? The clock is still ticking towards the point. Rabobank, I think, have set a very high mark. Well, it's just gone up. The bar has gone up to 9:03 now. Garmin-Cervelo will know what they're doing. The heads are turning. Don't slow down now. Hushoft wants the yellow jersey tonight, and if this is the winning time and they beat Omega Pharma Lotto by just 6 seconds, then it will be yellow for Thor Hushoft, and Garmin will be on top of the world. And that's why the world champion drives this team time trial to its finish now. He must know this is going to be one heck of a time as they come up towards the line now. The time to beat, 25 minutes dead. They have annihilated. 24 minutes and 48 seconds. The clock has stopped.
Well, you could just see the power of Thor Hushoft over those last 500 metres. He, in fact, had to slow down and wait for the rest of the guys because it's the time of the fifth man, which is the most important. Good to see Van der Velde in there. Good to see Tommy Danielson in there too. That now has set the bar extremely high.
Well, I wonder if anybody can match that, but we know there are at least 3 teams in the race who can match that sort of quality of ride. So, as they always say, time will tell. Well, here we are as we come to the face of Bradley Wiggins, who is the British time trial champion and, as of last week, the British road race champion. So he still wears his national colours in the time trial as well. Geraint Thomas to our right here in the white jersey as best newcomer. If they get the best time today, that white one will be yellow tonight. The pressure is on. Cheers away for Team Sky then. Now, if any team can challenge the time of Garmin-Cervelo, this is it. And Bradley Wiggins goes down there. Geraint Thomas leads off now. The boys in green instead of black and blue this time are underway.
Well, this is the team. Wiggins wears number 1 in the team. Juan Antonio Fletcher, Simon Gerrans of Australia, Edward Bosenhagen, Christian Knies of Germany, Ben Swift, the sprinter on the squad, Geraint Thomas, the white jersey, best young rider in the race, Rigoberto Urán, one of the big climbers from Colombia, and Xavier Zandio are wearing 119, and he is from Spain. But this is a young team, a development team, who are looking to the future of the sport of cycling in the United Kingdom, and what a great squad they are.
This is Astana, but they're losing ground as well as men here. They were, in fact, 6 seconds behind Garmin-Cervelo. They are now 19 seconds behind. Team Sky now, everybody is on the edge of their seats to see what Team Sky can do at the first check of the day. Here they come now as they race up towards the time. It's going to be desperately close. They've got a few seconds. 9:03 is the time they're shooting at. Team Sky look very, very efficient. The riding has won here. They're going to be best time, I think, as they go round this bend. As they break hard for the corner, we're talking 1 or 2 seconds, and it's going to be... Oh, it'll be rounded up. It is 1 second quicker at the moment for Team Sky.
That's Juan Antonio Fletcher from Spain on the front end of the main field. Look at that average speed, 59.7 kilometers an hour. That's 37.5 miles an hour after just 5 miles of the race.
Team Astana, who were third there, are now in at the final kilometre, approaching the finish. Now they drop back to 4, and if Sky continue, they will be 5th at the second check. So let's see what they can produce here by way of a sprint. But the best time of 24:48 is still to go by, so they're coming in.
Well, this is not good for Sky. They've lost 2 men at a go.
2 men in 1 hit here, and the other one is Christian Knies, who has been a former German road race champion, and Xavier Zanio. Well, they're not noted time trialists, and they've been blown away by the team as Astana sprint up towards the line now.
Well, Team Astana, not only is it Alexander Vinokourov, it's Roman Kruziger. They'll stop the clock in 4th place. They've lost 31 seconds. There's going to be some serious rounding out to be done in the overall classification at the end of the day. Alexander Vinokourov, second from the right-hand side there, riding in his last Tour de France.
Here they are again, and they are really all rushing together here. These boys are really riding absolutely on fire.
No, they certainly are. 112 just coming to the back. A little bottle getting dropped off there. That can be a dangerous incident, especially when a tightly packed line like this, riding along at speeds of very often approaching 40 miles an hour. At the second time check, in fact, Sky Pro Cycling have slowed a fraction and dropped down to 4 seconds behind. That probably, Phil, is because of the loss of 2 riders.
Which is what happened to Astana, who tried to start too quickly. They blew their riders away, and they finished at the moment with only the 4th best time. So Sky, a slight reversal there. They've lost 2 riders from the team, and I think they paid very slightly the price, as they're now 4 seconds slower. So they've conceded 3 seconds on this sector of the race to Garmin-Cervelo.
Well, you said at the start of the day that this was going to be decided by seconds, and I think that's absolutely right here this afternoon. But look at Wiggins. He now has realised he's got the firepower, and he's really taking long turns at the front.
Now, who has survived the best? It is going to be very, very, very close indeed. 24:48. If they beat Garmin, then Geraint Thomas is sitting in the possibility of wearing yellow tonight. But they've got to beat Garmin to leave that still a possibility.
Bradley Wiggins leading him into the final 100 metres here. Bosenhagen in second place. They're still very tight together, with Geraint Thomas just hanging on to the back of that line to be man number 5. It's going to be desperately close. It's 24:48 is the time to beat, and they know that. They will see the clock above the gantry finish line.
It is very, very, very close. The 5th time now. 24:48 is the time. I think they might do this. It is going to be desperately close as they hit the line. They've just passed by. They've stopped the clock at 24:52. Second place for Team Sky. Well, it is in an incredible time. I know they won't be happy with that, because they did that 3rd sector in exactly the same time as Garmin-Cervelo.
You know, it was just about getting the maximum out of every rider today. Everyone played their role, and my role was to keep the pace in the final when the wind was at its greatest. And but you know, everyone from Iran to Simon Gerrans to the little climbers of the team, everyone played their part today, and it was just a fantastic performance. And you know, when you come away from a race like that, knowing there's nothing else you could have done, to finish second, there's certainly no disappointment there.
HTC High Road. There is Mark Cavendish. This is a good team, and it could win today.
They know the time to beat, and they want to beat it. There's a massive rivalry in the team time trial.
They're underway. Now it's their pressure. They know what's got to be done, because Garmin-Cervelo is back home in the shower with the best time of the day, 24:48. And if you want the 100th, 0.1. That's their official time in detail. Of course, in cycling, it's rounded to the nearest whole second. It's only in dead heats will they look at those tenths of a second. So they are now making their way out of town. They're actually leaving the finishing line because it's on their backs, about 500 meters away. They go round in a huge circle. They go on the outskirts of La Roche-sur-Yon, which is, oh my goodness me, they went too wide on the corner, and that was amazing, but they lost it straight away. And the rider who is on the floor here is Bernie Eisel, probably the most experienced of the lot. Now Eisel will probably not get back on here.
Poor old Bernie Eisel there. He was under a lot of stress, under a lot of nerves, because this is a very nervous event. As we look at Radio Shack here approaching the first time check of the day, I don't think they're going to rival the top time of Sky Pro Cycling, but it's not really here that it matters. It's actually at the finish line. They've gone now outside to challenge the time of Team Astana as they go around the corner. There we've got 5th best time for Radio Shack. They've lost themselves 8 seconds, but still a very good average speed, just inside of 59 kilometers an hour.
Now, yesterday, Paul, this man nearly stole the show with that late attack up the hill, didn't he?
Yes, he did almost win the stage yesterday, and he's the best placed rider in his squad coming up to the line.
And we now have behind only 2 teams left to start here. Cadel Evans, the Australian runner-up in 2 tours. He rides the American BMC team, and he got 2nd yesterday. Best of all of the favourites. He's made a perfect start to the Tour de France.
Well, he's the man who's leading them off. He is one of the most experienced riders in the world at the individual time trial. He's won the World Time Trial Championships on 4 separate occasions, but he's also not too bad when it comes to steering a team in the team time trial. And he was the most important part of his team, Team Saxo Bank at the time in 2009, when they almost beat Team Discovery Channel. Number 171 at the back of the group, that is Mark Cavendish. I'm just looking to see whether they did sit up and wait at all for Bernie Eisel. I don't think with the fast start that they will have made, they have done that.
Oh, but it's not a good thing to lose somebody like Bernie Eisel, and he's a very, very popular member of the squad. He'd be embarrassed by that too, sitting on the floor by touching a wheel in front after that sharp left-hander. But here we go, let's see how it's reflected on the first check. You see they're right up there, aren't they, as they get around that corner. They've gone around in 4th place, no, in fact 6th place. Not the best of starts now. It's affected them. 9-11.
Well, they've lost themselves almost 9 seconds. They've taken a fairly moderate start, and they will be handicapped by missing a man.
And down at the start line in the green jersey, because he finished 2nd yesterday, he wears the green jersey of points leader Cadel Evans. Now, it was a perfect day for Cadel yesterday. Well, if you speak to him, it wasn't a perfect day because he wanted to win the stage and be the first yellow jersey. But the fact he finished 2nd was a terrific result. He gained a march over all of the Tour favourites and a huge march over Alberto Contador of 1 minute and 17 seconds. So today, Paul, if this team can pull it off, and George Hincapie is the man to help them, if they can pull it off, then we're going to be in yellow tonight. Now at the finishing line, Garmin Sabello sit there with best time, 24:48. Sky is in 2nd, Rabobank is in 3rd, and Saxo Bank of Alberto Contador is in 4th. Now this is the interesting one. The arrival of Team Leopard Trek here. It's going to be a good ride as well too. They've a little way to go now. They won't be better than the Sky team, but they're right up there, and they're being led by the big man Spartacus himself. As they lock up for the corner, the clock will stop. It is going to drop in nicely into third place. It should be. It's at the same time. They've gone through exactly the same time as Team Astana. So 9:09 for Leopard Trek.
But I think more importantly, Phil, they've still got all 9 riders present and correct in this group.
This is a chance to put a nail into Alberto's coffin.
Well, it is, but now Radio Shack have improved over the last few meters. They're not going to get the fastest time on the run up towards the finish line here, but maybe again they'll put time between themselves and Alberto Contador. It's a great time.
The most important thing is it won't win the day, but it will keep their top 4 potential winners of this tour well within reach, because we're only going to talk seconds again tomorrow. This is a good result for Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner as Team Radio Shack sprint up to the line here. Time taken on the 5th man. 24:58. That's a brilliant 3rd place, so they'll be happy with that.
Well, it's a well-balanced ride, Phil, because at the first time check they were down by 9 seconds. They were 15 seconds down at their next time check, and they in fact improved over the last part of the course.
Well, here we go, the last of 22 teams. We've had a great day so far. Philippe Gilbert is having a great season. He now has 14 wins to his credit. He starts for the first time in his life as the leader of the Tour de France. They're away. Omega Pharma Lotto now, the faithful teammates of Philippe Gilbert. They know what they have to do.
And Philippe Gilbert, he probably feels that he's got a big chance of losing the jersey this afternoon, but he may well inspire the riders to push themselves above and beyond the call of duty. Well, this is not a bad ride by Cadel Evans' team, because they will probably not rival the time of Team Sky Pro Cycling, but they'll be very close to the top end of the leaderboard as they go around this corner. They're going to stop it inside, pretty much inside. Well, that's an incredible time. Third.
That is a super time, a 9:04 there for Team BMC. That is a great ride. Somebody's inspiring them back there, because it was 9:03 for Garmin Cervelo and 9:02 for the Sky Pro Cycling team. And as we've seen, things change over the next kilometres, or next 15 kilometres or so. That's a great start. These are the boys coming home now. This is a pretty good time. They've definitely gone quicker and quicker here. Now the third time finish is that of Radio Shack of 24:58. Are they going to make the top three at the moment? Just take a look at those faces. These boys are firing on all cylinders now. It is going to be desperately close for third place as they go. Oh, they've just gone through. It'll be fourth best at 24:50. Third, they've got it. No, they've got it. So they've slotted in. They get quicker and quicker. 24 minutes 53. Now the arrival of Leopard Trek as they come in towards the finish. Have they kept the pressure on? They were fourth now at the second check, but we're only talking 8 seconds off the lead. And Fabian Cancellara, we expected this, has upped the engine and is going to drag them up the finishing straight here, firing on 4 cylinders. This man was so good, they once accused him of having a motor on his bike. He says, no, but I've got motors in both legs, and he uses them on a daily basis in the time trial. He will drive it on. The best time is 24:48. That time has gone by, but it's a great finish. It is an incredible finish. They've held third. 24:53 for Leopard Trek.
That is an unbelievable performance, and I tell you what, Phil, they owe a big debt of gratitude to the man in the white jersey, world champion in the individual time trial, Fabian Cancellara. But now the implosion of Omega Pharma Lotto as these two riders drift off the back. This is Jurgen van der Walle, involved with a very nasty crash only yesterday. And of course, Jelle van Dert of Belgium as well. These two men gave their heart yesterday out on the roads of the Tour de France for Philippe Gilbert. Today, they just cannot stand the pace of the team time trial. It is a painful discipline of the sport. Team BMC, though, are looking to try and drag Cadel Evans into a yellow jersey at the end of the evening. He went through the first time check with his team BMC racing in third place, 2 seconds adrift. He went through the next time check, 16.5 kilometres. Le Merlatier in third place, looking for 6 seconds. If he's inside of 3 seconds when it comes down to the finishing line, away from Team Garmin Cervelo, there could be a yellow tunic awaiting the Australian. Cadel Evans will bury himself over these final few corners. Hincapie sitting there in the wings in third position, ready to take over the pacemaking if Cadel starts to falter. The time they've got to beat, 24:48. Whether or not he finishes within 3 or 4 seconds of that is not important. They would like to win this team time trial here this afternoon. Look at Cadel Evans, Phil. He looked over his shoulders there to make sure he wasn't damaging his boys too much.
Well, 3 seconds is the magic margin here. That's what Cadel Evans had advantage over Thor Hushoff at the start of the day. Garmin and Cervelo are beside themselves at the finishing line here as they see if that clock hits 24:51. Hushoff will be in yellow. If it's a better time than that, Evans will be in yellow at the moment. He's got 10 seconds to get there. They can see the line, but it is such a long way up to the finishing straight here. Evans has driven this race home. The time is slipping by. Second best time for BMC. In itself, a tremendous ride, but 4 seconds the difference. 1 second has swung it the way of Garmin Cervelo. Tomorrow they lead the Tour de France. Well, nonetheless, it is another hilltop finish which will suit Philippe Gilbert, just like yesterday, but it's a little bit harder than the finish yesterday on Les Alouettes. He's continuing to plug on. He will know already what the times are. He will know where the situation is. He's not going to push himself to the limits now. There's no point. The jersey is gone. It might or might not come back. Either way, he's had his moment. in the Tour de France, and his magical season continues. And this team will have other sights now over the next 3 weeks as the time ticks away. But there's no doubt about the result of the race today. Garmin-Cervelo win the race, 24 minutes 48 seconds. BMC Racing got quicker and quicker and quicker. They're only 4 seconds out in second place, and that is a fraction of a second quicker than Sky Pro Cycling, who will also finish officially 4 seconds slower than Garmin-Cervelo in third. And Leopard Trek will take fourth, HTC High Road fifth. And this team will not affect the top 6 standings. It's a long, long way now for the last team to finish, knowing that there's no yellow jersey at the finish, but you've got to complete the course. And it's only in an hour's time or so, when all the results come out, we will know if any riders have been eliminated by their teams today. And I think the only cause for likely concern would be Bernard Eisel, who dropped from the team on that first corner with the fall, and they've pushed to a great time, and he's had to do the course all by himself. It's all over now as the seconds tick away. Thor Hushovd has become the new leader of the Tour de France, and he rides for the American Garmin-Cervelo team. The world champion has turned his season around, because since he won the world champion, he hasn't had much at all. This is the yellow jersey coming home for the last time as the last team finishes Omega Pharma Lotto. They won't even look at the time, I don't think. 10th place. They did improve, though, considerably over that last sector. 25-27 at their final time.
Right, last team in. Let's confirm the stage result. Garmin-Cervelo with their first ever Tour win in a time of 24 minutes 48 seconds. 4 seconds ahead of Cadel Evans' BMC outfit, who were perhaps the surprise of the day. They edged Sky into third place by a 1/10 of a second, with Leopard Trek another 3/10ths down. It was that kind of a race, which is to say a short one, I suppose. HTC High Road were 5 behind Garmin in 5th, ahead of Radio Shack, Rabobank and Saxo Bank at 28 seconds, Alberto Contador being the big loser among the big names. So here's what the team time trial has done to the standings. Tuhusovd and his teammate David Miller are on the same time, with Tour taking the jersey by dint of his higher placing yesterday. Cadel Evans is third, just a second behind, with Geraint Thomas fourth at 4 seconds, along with 3 Leopard Trek riders, Linus Gerdemann, Frank Schleck and Fabian Cancellara. Then Geraint's Sky teammate Edvald Boasson-Hagen completing the top 8. No yellow then for Geraint today. We're still waiting for the first Welshman in Tour history to take one, but he's got a fair bit of Tour history making still ahead of him. His team leader Brad Wiggins is well placed too after a strong ride today, a couple of spots behind Andy Schleck, the pair of them in the group at 4 seconds down. Mark Cavendish is 5 off the lead in 18th place, and Ben Swift makes it all 5 Brits in the top 25. Alberto Contador is now 75th, a minute 42 off the lead, and not much less behind many of his rivals. But there's always someone worse off than yourself, and it's Samuel Sanchez. A weak time trial from his Euskaltel team leaves him over 2.5 minutes down after 2 stages.